Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan with another of our double shot interviews, and I'm here with LendMe founder and major shareholder and director, Mark Kirkland. Thanks for coming in, Mark. Great to see you.
My pleasure, Gareth.
Now, LendMe has just this week received a peer-to-peer license from the Financial Markets Authority. So can you, start off by just telling us a little bit about who LendMe is, who's behind it, and when you might actually launch your platform?
Okay, well, LendMe got its license on Monday, so we were very, very thrilled to get that license. It's a long road to hoe. You have to basically construct your whole model. So that has taken us a considerable amount of time and resource to do that. And LendMe is a team of people. It's founded by myself and my business partner, Edwin Morrison. We're both lawyers. Originally, I'm from Dunedin, Edwin's from the middle of the North Island, and we've come to Auckland and some time ago practiced at Kensington Swan. We've both been involved in nominee companies, which is the way lawyers used to lend money, and we were basically looking for a model some time ago that we could get back into that market, and noticed that Parliament was proposing a change to the capital markets, including peer-to-peer lending. So we thought this is a great opportunity. We got involved at an early stage, made submissions into the process and into the select committee, and basically it's gone from there. So our team now consists of the CEO is my sister Kerry Kirkland. She was the head of marketing at Otago University. She's got a doctorate in marketing. So she's our marketer and our CEO. We have a couple of very experienced lenders. I think between them they have about 60 or 70 years of lending experience in various banks, including Westpac, Guardian Trust and other organisations. We have a debt collecting person who was the major debt collector for Suncorp Bank and Guardian Trust, so he's very experienced. And we have a number of other staff and shareholders that have some of the major experience in banks, including the ex-treasurer of ASB Bank.
Right, and so now you've got the license and ready to go. When do you think you'll actually launch your platform?
That's a very good question, and the answer was we had planned to launch in about 6 weeks to 2 months. We're in discussions with a trading bank in New Zealand, and they've asked us to basically hold back until we see if we can conclude discussions and form a relationship with them. If we can, that launch is likely to be in about 3 months' time, and it will be a coordinated launch with them.
Can you tell us a bit more about those discussions and what you're looking to do with them? And I mean, can you name them?
I can't name them because I've signed a confidentiality agreement. But they're just one of a couple of banks I'm talking to. But this particular bank fits with our vision, which is basically Kiwis lending to Kiwis. Which is the true peer-to-peer model. So this bank fits with our vision very nicely. It has an extensive branch network, and we're very excited. They've got capital to put into the pot, so to speak, to lend, and also they would be looking to take an equity position. But no, I can't name them.
You've given quite a bit of detail already about the type of lending you're planning to do. Now, it's all going to be secured loans, and you're talking about top-up deposits, loans for home purchases up to 100% loans there, commercial property lending, business lending, lending for, equipment lending, and loans into the rural sector. Can you tell us a bit more about the particular areas of focus there and why you've chosen them?
Well, firstly, it's with peer-to-peer lending and the way that our platform's set up, people or borrowers can go onto the site and they can apply for the loans that they want. The reason that we've selected, a product range is to help people focus on how to prepare their applications. So, and also with the institutional funders we're talking to, some of them are interested in some products, some interested in others. So, for example, what we call the Golden Years loan, which is to older people, for example, retirement age and over, and they have trouble with banks, let's face it. They have trouble because banks think that they've got a limited number of years to pay a loan back. Banks don't like taking enforcement action against older people. It's a bad look for them. So that results in older people not really being able to engage with banks in any meaningful way. In other words, get loans. And there's lots of reasons why older people want loans. I mean, just like the rest of us, they want to go overseas on holiday, they have children to help out, etc., etc. So that is one area of particular emphasis we're looking at, and we have some funders that are particularly interested in that area. So we've designed a so-called product range to help the institutional investor, mum and dad investors as well. I call them mum and dad investors, but Kiwis investing, lending money, help them sort of focus on what products they want to put their money in, and help the borrowers focus on how they're going to make their application.
Now, this is called peer-to-peer lending, but obviously a big trend that's emerged in the US, and Harmony's also doing it, and you're talking about it as having quite a significant proportion of institutional funding as well.
Yes.
How big a chunk of your overall, funding do you hope to secure from retail investors?
Well, I'd like to, as time goes on, secure the majority of it from ordinary Kiwis. Now, that may be through retirement saving funds. It might be through people just getting on the site and saying, we want to invest in a different kind of product. This is now available. We want to, it's never been available before, Gareth. It's something that you either did privately to a friend or a family member, or you really haven't, as a member of the public, been able to go out and invest in a loan with someone. So this is a new asset class, and like the people of Harmony, we're quite excited that now New Zealanders can invest in this asset class. So I envisage that as we go along and improve the product, and not just us but the other players in the market, and I know they feel the same way, as we gain the trust and confidence of people, I expect the proportion or pie in terms of deposits into peer-to-peer platforms to grow quite significantly. And indeed, I would hope maybe to match what the banks are doing, which I understand is about 80%.
Now,
but initially, probably 10-20%.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've talked about the home loan market. Obviously, doing up to 100% mortgages there, that's an area obviously of much focus for the Reserve Bank now. I mean, obviously as a peer-to-peer lender, you're not regulated by the Reserve Bank.
Not entirely correct, but as a peer-to-peer lender, we're not actually doing the lending.
Sure, yeah.
So it's the individual lenders that get onto the platform. We're like, if you like, we're like a dating site where a boy meets a girl. So a borrower meets a lender on our site, and they decide to transact. So the Reserve Bank does have some powers of regulation over us through the FMA, and there's a memorandum of understanding between those two organisations. But in terms of regulating individual lenders' behaviour, no, they don't have that power yet. They would have to go back through Parliament, I think, to get that power.
But obviously, if you've got banks as your institutional lenders and they're lending on home loans, the Reserve Bank over time may get interested in that. Is that sort of something you're considering?
They would have to. I mean, if they were considering regulating individual lenders, that would be a big ground shift in my. It would require an act of Parliament, I think, and it would require a serious amount of debate, because that would mean that they're effectively regulating a father lending to his son or a father lending to his daughter 100% to buy a house. That's the same kind of, I guess, legal control that they would be looking to have over all lenders, and I think that would be a step too far.
Okay, now,
but I'm not underestimating the Reserve Bank, and if peer-to-peer lending sites create a disruption in the market like's happened in the US with the big volumes going on there, then perhaps they will look at it.
Now, you're going to lend between 25,000 and 2 million.
Yes.
And investors or lenders can fund loans in full or in increments of $1,000 each, is that correct?
Correct.
Yep. And interest rates, you're looking at, indicatively, I'm told, at this stage, 5.89 to 14.29%. And is it correct, the lenders and investors, the rates will be basically the other side of that, minus the fees, so administration fees from 0.95 to 2.25%?
We've got a lot of work to do on pricing, And the reason for that is that we're obviously 3 months away from launch, and as you've seen, the markets are fluctuating. They're fluctuating at the moment, and it's very difficult to predict. So when I think you're reading those figures from probably an older press release, we anticipate that the very best loans, the very best propositions, with very good borrowers, will attract. They will be paying rates pretty much similar to the bank rate, maybe a little bit higher. As the credit risk of those propositions and those borrowers goes up, their interest rate will go up. On the lending side, the lenders will get a lot more return than they would do investing in a bank. And the reason for that is simple. The reason is that there's not the cost structure. There's no middleman taking a margin, right? So with a bank, you deposit money into the bank and they lend it out and they take 2 or 3% margin in the middle, sometimes often more, depending on the kind of lending. So you don't have that with us. You just have us earning money. We generate money earning a fee. So we don't take a margin in the middle. And our costs are really a lot lower, primarily because we don't have bricks and mortar, we don't have the wages, so we don't have the overheads that a bank has. We've got a site that sort of operates pretty much 24/7. Our back-end bank, we've contracted that to DebtWorks, so there's a call centre. So the cost of us administering loans is a lot lower than it is for the banks. So therefore, we can offer depositors more return.
You've also said that you're keen on the rural sector. Can you tell us a bit more about your plans there?
I'm keen on the rural sector because I was brought up on a farm, so I'm a farm boy. We have one of our directors on our board is high up at Pioneer. So we are keen on the farm sector because of our history and because we think that there is a real lack of service by the banks. And I could go into the particulars, but basically we don't believe banks really understand farmers very well. So what we want to encourage is, if you like, a subset of peer-to-peer lending, so farmers lending to farmers. And that's what we're going to focus on, farmers lending to farmers. So people who understand farming, lending to farmers.
Okay. Now, Harmony obviously is the first licensed peer-to-peer lender. They set a target for their first year. They're hoping to lend 100 million. Have you got targets like that you can share?
Yes. Our minimum target is 50 million.
For the first year?
Yeah, for the first year. But I would like to lend 100 million, if not more. So, if you like, the minimum bar would be 50, and we're very profitable at that. But my target is higher, is about 200 million. And the difference is Harmony really, at the moment, their focus is on consumer finance lending, which we don't want to get into at this stage. It's not our core business. So our business is lending is more traditional lending, lending on secured, so that the sums involved are significantly higher. So Harmony, I think, has a limit of 35,000. Our smallest loan will be 25,000. So in terms of volume, we are looking for a larger volume in terms of total money lent. There might not be as many loans, so the volume in terms of the loan transactions will be lower than Harmony, but hopefully our total out will be higher.
Okay, now you were mentioning just off camera that you had picked up some interesting information from the Lend It conference in the US.
Sure.
Obviously, peer-to-peer lending, relatively new in New Zealand. We've had Harmony for nearly a year now, I think. People are beginning to understand how it operates more, but be interested to hear what you have to say on that.
I'll put my glasses on for this, Gareth. I was just reading a presentation by Peter Renton, who is the founder of Lending Academy, and he's given a paper at the Lend It conference, which has just happened in the US. So I think at that conference there were over 2,000 peer-to-peer lenders and associated people at that conference, and some of the numbers he was reporting on were quite staggering. So believe it or not, the country with the most volume of peer-to-peer lending is China. And China, the number of platforms in China is 1,575 platforms, and they have put through last year, 2014, $41.3 billion worth of lending on their peer-to-peer sites. So that's quite phenomenal, and I'll go into why that's important for us in a minute. In terms of the US, which is obviously a lot bigger market, the Lending Club is the biggest peer-to-peer lender, and last year their volume was $4.4 billion, with a total to date of about $8 billion on the site. Their shareholders consist now of Google. I understand Alibaba recently did a deal, and they have a number of US funds and banks involved as well. So the trend, pretty much in terms of growth for the US and the UK, is 100% in growth year on year, with institutions, super funds and banks becoming more and more involved, and disruptive companies like, obviously you've seen with Harmony, they've had Trade Me by 15%. So that is a trend with the peer-to-peer market overseas as well, and I expect that to be the same here. So I expect that you will see disruptive companies buying and banks and institutions buying into peer-to-peer sites here, and I expect that the market will go in directions that we can't even imagine at the moment.
You mentioned China, and that's really interesting. You sort of hinted at more there. Can you tell us a bit more?
So one of our major focuses is going to be the Chinese community, and our law firm has recently merged with a Chinese firm, so we have quite a bigger understanding of that market now. And as a result of that, our site will be skinned in Mandarin as well as English, and we will be focusing on, again, a subgroup Chinese lending to Chinese. And we have been in discussions with one of the largest banks in the world, a Chinese bank, and I have shaken hands with the CEO of that bank. Nothing, I can't tell you any details, but it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting in terms of having a basket of funds to lend out to the Chinese community.
I assume it's one of the Chinese banks that's registered in New Zealand, though.
It is, but yeah. I'm not going to tell you who it is, Gareth.
Well, we'll look forward to
at this stage.
We'll look forward to hearing more, Mark, as things develop. Okay. That's Mark Kirkland, who is the founder, major shareholder, and director at LendMe, the new licensed peer-to-peer lender. And I'm Gareth Vaughan at interest.co.nz.